off against Dark Zero Dragonsteel. I'm Mazel, I'm joined by Beatdown, and what a game it was.
A convincing one at that from Winthrop University. A really nice turnaround, all things considered, because game one really didn't go their way, despite some good moments in those first 10 minutes. Now it was their turn to get some swings back onto DZ. And while it didn't start off great for them early on, I think Denethor had a really great game on the Aatrox, was really empowered by the Karma, and he just became the problem.
He did indeed, and I think there was no problem solvers on the other side of things. I'll just shout out, there were some really questionable decisions by Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Obviously, we got to give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of like the newness of the squad and not being able to play a lot of stage games. But even then, I gotta say some little bit of egregious things. But there were some moments that looked pretty good from them, and trying to see that wombo combo through didn't work out necessarily, but we could see the potential there. But that's where you got to give such big props to Winthrop. I mean, they performed so well. They go back to the form they looked like against Near Airport, and that gives a huge doubt to what this game 3 can be for Dark Zero Dragonsteel, and how there could be another killing of one of the heads of the Hydra here at the rounding out of our regular season.
Yeah, there's a chance Winthrop are just going to be the Kingslayers of the league, because I think the only other team who's been able to get wins off both top teams has actually been Dark Zero Dragonsteel. And, transitive properties, if a Winthrop gets a win, they're automatically better than all of them, right?
They're going to Worlds!
Yes, exactly. You get it.
Yep, exactly. Stakes could never be higher, though, as we were talking about beforehand. For Winthrop, they've already gotten their spot, but how funny it would be to knock Dark Zero Dragonsteel down a peg. Again, they're collegiate rivals, as well as just taking a look at what the season is bringing out to be. Dark Zero Dragonsteel need 2 wins to get that first or second seed, and to be able to stave them off of that would be absolutely huge. And again, it came down to compositional strength. It came down to know how to play the composition well. And I got to give big props again to Wilson, who navigated that early game. It was tough, but became so impactful. And I look back, I don't think we got to see it, but I look back to that big keeper's verdict to pop off Cryogen during his Pop Blossom as the big backbreaker there that ended up signaling Winthrop having a lot of victories after that fight.
And time was never on Dark Zero's side, so Wilson and the rest being able to stall that long and recognize that, all right, if they can't get their combo off, we're going to win eventually. And doing so really is just credit to them. Again, playing comps that are less than common here in NACL 2025. The fact that they just have that clear understanding of this style and how exactly they need to play against their opponents has been really crucial for them. It was crucial against Near Airport, and that recognition is what won them this game too.
And that does also mean we got to start focusing on game number 3 with full fearless in effect. It means we're going to have 30 champions not playable, obviously 20 from the first 2 games, and then we'll have the 10 bans on top of that all. We'll see exactly who gets onto blue side, who wants that red side, but specifically it's about what picks are still available. There's been some really big ones taken off the table, but before we get to that, make sure you obviously focus on our socials that you'll be seeing in the top left, because if you missed any of the action from the first 2 games, you don't know how we got here. And I think it's really important to know how we got here, as Dark Zero Dragonsteel looked dominant in game number 1. Winthrop looked pretty dominant in game number 2, and now we have to see what our culmination is going to be for this game 3.
Yeah, so we have our first side swap of the series as well. Dark Zero will be on blue side, Winthrop will be on red. So with that in mind, we're going to see some interesting dynamics maybe change up. Could give an opportunity to really make use again of Denethor's champ pool, which I think Winthrop is doing a great job of in their last series, even today with the Aatrox that we don't see a lot of here in NACL, to do a lot of great things. And that's really what they have going for them into this final game. And Dark Zero Dragonsteel, I mean, despite being this light roster that we call them, still a lot of skilled players and some experienced players on top of it on this roster. So being able to get it together into this 3rd game is definitely within their ability.
And I know it means a lot to them, right? Like I'll be absolutely 100 with everybody. They should have been playing at NACL. And to get them to finally have that opportunity and have those moments, I know it means a lot to them to be on the stage, but it also means a lot to the organization, right? Dark Zero Dragonsteel came into this week expecting to be first or second seed, to have that bye, to have all that prep, and they had a lot of confidence in this squad to deliver it to that expectation. So we'll see if they can turn it all around in game number 3, but in the end, it's just been Winthrop who is on fire, burning red hot, and these Eagles are soaring. It's been really a pleasure to watch. It's not just one piece to the puzzle. It's been them coming together. I think only 35 as well. Hasn't been getting a lot of shout-outs, obviously, but deservedly needs some, as he's had a lot of impact in these, and we'll see exactly what impact both supports want to have in this game number 3, as those support drafts are going to be a little bit harder to come by here. As we're going into game number 3, it is Dark Zero Dragonsteel on that blue side, like you had mentioned. Winthrop on the red side. See if any of those bans do change up here.
Probably not in that first rotation, but I think second will be very interesting to hear. Again, a big pick I think that's available in this final game here for Denethor. I'm really thinking about the Gnar, and in terms of a safer 80 carries to play, I mean, Ezreal is out of the picture. The only one really left is Xayah. So I'm wondering if that's something Winthrop will try to get rid of earlier on, especially if Dark Zero Dragonsteel don't pick that one in that first rotation of bans. Because you get rid of Xayah, you put Spawn on something more hyper carry, less movement focused. You make him really susceptible to a pick like that.
I want to see, though. I will say I see Lilia up on the top ban list. Lilia is still available. Vi was the pickup there on the other side last time. So Lilia is a big pick for Wilson. I will say I could see the comp still come down, even if the Misfortune is not available there. The Mbessa has been a big focus for Winthrop in the end, in terms of what they've been wanting to kind of keep away from Tenacity, but he's going to get it this time, and I'm expecting a full dive comp from Dark Zero Dragonsteel.
Yeah, I mean, no Vi, but there are still plenty of options to pair it up with. I'm wondering if Spawn will actually go for the Kai'Sa instead, as we see Mbessa and Kai'Sa usually together a lot in a lot of drafts. And instead of Gnar, Denethor, just going to go for something more lane-focused. So he's just going to try and get some advantages early on and snowball them.
True that. I think there's still so many big picks taken off the table when you look at everything coming into this game number 3 and what Fearless presents. Obviously, we haven't gotten a best of 5s, but it's still fun to see it go the distance as we have so many times. I love the Renekton pick here for Denethor. It's not going to be the Camille as it was banned away, but getting still some big power in his own hands as well to take the fight his way. The Maokai is going to be there. A lot of utility for Wilson as well, but providing a ton of space buying in these objective fights.
Yeah, I do like the Maokai in general. It just gives you so many options. That Nature's Grasp works in so many different ways and situations. So it does tell me that we're going to need to see something carry-oriented there for Sword and mobility. I mean, Lucian is out of the picture, but there's still champs like Jinx and stuff like that. Tristana being grabbed, I wasn't thinking about her, but really is kind of the perfect response in that regard, especially with being one of the few mobile marksmen left in the picture. That rocket jump, super valuable.
It is. Got to look for those resets, and also providing some flexibility. It could go mid, maybe. I know Corki has been a big focus in the second phase of bans, which we will be getting to here soon. It is the Xayah locked in, though, for mobility. Cannot get that Lovers duo, I believe, but it still is going to be the fact that you have a lot of safety on the side of Xayah and being able to use that Featherstorm as a defensive nature. Yeah,
really important, honestly, to be able to get that one, just because when you're thinking about Mbessa and Sejuani, it's just better to be safe than sorry, and still does a lot of damage later on, especially with these health stackers on the top side making space for him. So at this point now, I like the Ziggs ban. You just want to remove some AP options because Dark Zero are really lacking in that regard, and you really going to run the risk of them being in a bit of an awkward situation. Like, it's probably going to be Tristana. I think this Tristana probably has to go bot lane now, just so Toasty can go a mage. But we'll see.
We'll see what they end up wanting to do. Again, a big series for both sides. Also, some big names in the coaching staff behind the scenes. Obviously, Wes Rice helping out the light roster, but also Artemis on the side of Winthrop in there for a while now, trying to keep up that legacy here for them. But that mid lane focus is going to continue to be there for Dark Zero Dragonsteel. With that Hwei ban, we'll see the Caitlyn ban by Winthrop on the other side. So realizing it could be that flexibility with the Tristana.
Yeah, just really limiting a lot of spawns options in this game. I like that targeting, just that recognition that Toasty really might be playing this champion. And I like the response as well, too. Yeah, you just get rid of these mage picks because both of these comps right now really lacking in terms of magic damage, so they need to round out the damage profile. And I think both teams are doing a pretty good job at removing some of those options. I think Syndra's still up. That's worth noting. And I'm kind of expecting them to maybe go that route, but for Winthrop, that does seem really dangerous because you're not very mobile.
Yeah, you could be. I like the comfort ban towards the sword Orianna too. I think just giving comfort in game 3 is super important. The Lilia does end up coming through, so it looks like it's going to be a support Maokai.
There you go.
So they were playing with a little bit of that flexibility themselves here, and it will be yet another comfort pick for Wilson.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder if we're going to see a last pick Corki there for Winthrop, just because now you have a really good magic damage dealer. You're going to put Lily in a position where your opponents really aren't looking to build a whole lot of magic resist. She'll love that, and you're perfectly fine picking an 80 champion there at the end.
Talked about melee mids for Toasty. He's going to go for it. Also a nice combo with the Sejuani. Still gives you the AP.
Yep.
The ulti is not going to be the greatest so far. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But we'll see him just constantly take that one. The ulti lullaby not necessarily going to be as much impact, but we'll see what the tie-in together is. They need some more tank. They need some more front line. It's going to be giving them the double horn combo of the Sejuani and the Alistar. Yeah,
that is a lot of... That's going to be a lot of health bar to cut through in resistances for Winthrop University. It's a good thing they have the Lilia. Zaya is not the worst at trying to cut down tanks and attempts with high HP bars.
Yeah.
But you are... I mean, if we're looking in that mid lane, something that can build Leandri's, I think, would be so good. It would feel bad to go unless...
Let's go! Okay.
I like it. I like it. Forget everything I said. Forget everything I said about magic damage. Leandri's, garbage. Never mind.
Garbage.
Sword Zed, on the other hand, that's what we like to see. That is a pick he's super comfortable on.
Yep.
It gives you a lot of options to get some serious damage into the carries, the people that you really want to be getting damage onto. You land that death mark onto Spawn, even onto Toasty if you get ahead. Like that, they're gone.
Yep. And that's the craziest part, but it has to come with a thin line of execution.
Yeah.
There's a lot of meatballs in that soup, and you're looking for the little things in between. And it's going to be really hard when they have so much CC to go down. It's a bold pick, but I love it. You got to put some confidence there into Winthrop, who've been feeding off of this momentum. Can they make another upset of the century happen in the same week? Does lightning strike twice, as they say, as they take Dark Zero Dragonsteel the distance in this first best of 3 of the day on this super final day of week number 7, the regular season of NACL. Dark Zero Dragonsteel versus Winthrop University. Game 3 kicking off now.
And I think a lot of the success we've seen from Winthrop, especially lately, again, has been leaning more towards their own style, playing to these comfort champions. This is not the first Zed we've seen from Sword here in Split 1. And he's very happy to bring that out in the right circumstances. Even coming through with the Ignite does make his lane a little more volatile, being able to snowball, of course, if he's able to secure kills, but those reset timers are going to be very important so he doesn't fall behind.
Got to see how often they want to play through this mid jungle. I know the mid lane was exactly where we wanted to focus in this one, and both guys having wonderful performances in their last series against different opponents, but now coming to a head here. It was Toasty who absolutely got the better game number 1 on his classic Azir, but I gotta say Sword had his number in game number 2. So the culmination of this matchup, if Toasty can put down Sword here, it could be a big leaning towards Dark Zero Dragonsteel's compositional strengths, but both teams definitely leaning in the team fight and the scaling aspect of things here.
Yeah, and I'm really kind of having difficulty placing which comp I definitively like more in the late game. Because you're right, they both have options to lean into team fighting later. They both have great scaling tools. And what I feel is going to be the difference for me is Sword. He's got the Ignite. He's playing the Assassin in Zed in a meta where Assassins really just aren't popular and not commonly very good. He has to be that difference maker to get onto somebody like Spawn on the Tristana, because Spawn is the carry when we get to late game. And it's really Sword versus Spawn this game, even though we're highlighting that mid lane matchup. If he can kill him, Winthrop will win. And if not, well, Dragonsteel, excuse me, will probably get their chance to be top 2.
See if they can do so here. We are getting clears coming through from both sides. Obviously, a little bit of speed from both of them. I think both have actually pretty hefty clears early, but I will say Wilson on the Lilia will be a speed demon once those faded ashes and things start coming down for them. We take a look at priority as we come to the culmination of the jungle pass. Top side still going to go the way of Winthrop, but not going to find any love for another game in this one. But bot lane could be the focus earlier on. I know Mobility will want a little bit of action there, maybe trying to use that Blade Caller early to get some prio there. They will end up having that push.
Yeah, and the key for me is also going to be for Winthrop, the laners. They got to really understand the timers where Kryra can impact them, because if you're looking at Sedge versus Lilia, one of these junglers has a lot more early game impact, and the more you can be self-sufficient in this game and allow Wilson to just power farm, the better off you're going to be as a comp overall.
Wilson came around that corner and said, nope, I'm walking away.
Unless?
Absolutely not. And now he has teammates. That's when you want it. That's when you want the fight. But you are fighting into a Sejuani with the permafrost early. The Kryra just going in now. Toasty trying to find the kill on a Wilson. Wow, Kryra will go down. He just went boldly where no man should go. And now Sword gonna be ran down with a splash from Spy. He canceled his auto. He canceled his auto. Oh, Spawn misses that play, and now Winthrop finds 2 kills down, and Spawn's in a lot of trouble, gonna try to use the blast cone away, but he might just go down. The Blade Color there. Feats of Warfare completed at 4 minutes, and Winthrop are here to play.
Dark Zero collapsing at the seams here. The fact that Sword walked away with 2 HP, I'm told, is just utterly ridiculous, and something Spawn is gonna be kicking himself about well into playoffs.
I need to see that. I need to see that again if that is at all possible production. I need to see if he either he auto-attacked the turret, he canceled his, something happened. We're going to take a look back at it.
Yeah, I really didn't think this fight was actually going to be good there for Winthrop, but they made it work. Wilson was able to stay alive, and I like the focus and the hold off on the Ignite from Sword to go on the lowest health target. It turned into that kill, and now we're going to see that moment. No camera.
Are we gonna
go
see
back
it?
to Spawn. Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Spawn.
in the corner.
Watch Spawn.
So one more auto comes after this, or he cancels it. I think he just cancels. Oh,
I think he's worried.
No.
Yeah, it looked like he does cancel it, and he's worried about the shuriken. I don't really know why. You wouldn't die. So that's a little too cautious, it looks like. The red buff certainly helped.
Winthrop, though, let's go!
I know!
Man, turning it on in the last week of the regular season, taking down some of the giants of the league so far. And now, even though it's still early, have a pretty hefty advantage with a composition that loves to be in the driver's seat.
That's right, and really such a big deal where I didn't think Winthrop's comp this early should be looking to fight. I was just talking about how Lilia wants to farm, laners should be self-sufficient, but shout out to the confidence of this team knowing their limits and being able to find these examples. You know what? I'm not satisfied with our conclusion on that auto attack, so I am actually glad we're going to watch this again. My eyes are like an inch from my screen, guys.
If he gets the kill, he gets the reset, right?
Exactly.
And that makes such a big difference in this moment. I think he just cancels it. Dude, how does he not die to the lethal tempo?
He does cancel it. He literally does cancel it. And the reason he didn't die to lethal tempo, it's the red buff. The health regen came through. So, oopsie from Spawn. Again, he's not going to be happy about that one. And in one fell swoop at around the 3-minute mark, Winthrop University, they get Feats of Warfare. They have 3 kills to their name. And look at where those kills are.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick a better place. I couldn't blend it.
Literally across the board for everybody, getting a little bit of love here. Now they'll have this little mini item spike going for them ahead of this if they want to try to take this early dragon. There's about 1:20 until the grub spawns, so maybe seeing if Dark Zero can refocus on that a little bit. I still think objective control is going to be extremely important to kind of keep out in front of you for both sides this time around. But we see a lot of presence now with these kind of the BF sword, not only for mobility, but the pickaxe start there already for Sword, and the haunting guys completed for Wilson as he comes out onto the map.
That's right. And I will say, as much as this is a good opener for Winthrop University, Dark Zero still have the easier to execute comp. Really simple team fight, a lot of CC to work with. So they're far from out of this game, but the mental aspect of losing a play like that is not lost on me.
As Catalyst is completed for Toasty, he's going to be a little bit stronger in some of these fights. We're obviously still waiting to get those first item spikes, but reset now coming from Kryra right ahead of the grubs. at least just trying to get on the same page as Wilson, going to be able to complete the double giant stealth that we've seen as tradition for Sejuani. So going to feel a lot better if they do need to stick a fight up here. But level 6s are going to be abounding. Who's going to take out that better of it? We finally get to the threshold that Dark Zero Dragonsteel can start feeling good in these fights.
And speaking of, I think we're going to see a fight soon, maybe around these Void Grubs, although not a lane swap. So there's that opportunity for Dark Zero actually to get a potential advantage if they want to move up there. But Spawn, he cancels his back. He wants to get one more wave in, and because nobody is really committing a whole lot, Wilson on the Lilia, you take these really quickly as this champion, so this should be a pretty easy take from you. He might have to flash though.
Does end up flashing away from the Glacial Prison. The Stolen Nature's Grasp is going to connect on only 35. He doesn't have his own version of it just yet, but they will end up getting the 1 for 2. If they can finish this one off. Kryra doesn't have the smite, but they go for the fight anyways. Onto Wilson now. Toasty looking for an angle here. They go on to only 35, but into the pit, into the fight. Tenacity goes, sweeping through, and this ain't Bessa. There's a reason why it was banned 2 games in a row. Cryogen's gonna fall, and Sword tries to go back, but Toasty's sitting there waiting for him like a teen after curfew, and that's Toasty finding a big pick.
I love that decision from Dark Zero. Abandon that last grub, take the fight angle that looks so good, and they get it because they can take the grub afterwards. So they find themselves some kills back in this game and in some great places as well. 1 for Toasty, 1 for Tenacity. 2 champions that will cause a lot of headache for Winthrop later on.
And we're going back to what game 1 was, an absolute slog of just fighting and chaos. We're not there to that 1 kill a minute yet, but it's a lot further towards that than that game number 2 was for sure. We are going to get a little bit more tempo clears coming through from both junglers now, though. There is this next, or at least the Dragon setup is going to be the next thing on the docket for Winthrop, as they do have Prio and bot side through mobility.
That's right. It's going to be an easy dragon take here, but a late one for Winthrop. So it'll be a bit later of a soul if they're able to continue stacking those dragons. But otherwise, it's going to be them going back to neutral and not much else to really fight for. Next thing to keep your eye on is in Rift Herald in a couple minutes time. And of course on Kryra, because again, it's so much easier with more downtime after the objective timers have been altered on this patch. There's more time for champions like Sejuani in particular to just look for plays, see what advantages they can get.
The 1v1 between the ADCs and now Cryogen trying to come over to get mobility. Mobility will flash away from the CC that Cryogen was trying to lay her down. So we will end up getting flash trades by both ADs, and the ultimate from mobility is down.
Only 35, my man, sit in the lane just a little longer. You have been level 5 for like 2 minutes now, and as Maokai, that's just not acceptable. You need that Nature's Grasp really badly. Can only imagine how it would have impacted that fight, but okay, he's just gonna recall. Our producer just called him only 5, and real, honestly.
Incredible, incredible. That's real good. We gotta get you on the live side of things.
I've been saying.
It is really, though, a situation where Toasty could probably ult twice before he even gets his, and now Sword goes all in, but gets locked down. That's that CC chain we were talking about. The ulti right back, and Toasty will take him down now as well. Toasty is not going to try to find that re-engage as well. The fight going the way of Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Really good combinations between Toasty, Cryogen, and Kryra.
That Sejuani ult was like 1 centimeter away from only 35, but still a successful fight either way from Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Again, just shows the ease of execution on this composition, and Sword again a little too far ahead of himself. Oh my god, he's in! That's it! Now we can call him only 6.
Let's go. He did it. He's only 4 levels down from Toasty.
Yeah,
to be fair, Cryogen will probably be almost level 7, but at least he's even now, and that's all that really matters.
He's caught up. He has the ult, so that's really.
And it's a dead even game, so what does it really matter?
If you're Dark Zero, not that much really, because you're still in a really good position, in my opinion, especially with how much Sword has been struggling in the mid lane against Toasty. Really wise of him to go for that catalyst. It looks like it was just for the health, as we see the Haunting guys picked up as well. So probably going to be looking for the, I guess, Riftmaker.
Spawn getting chunked.
Could be Leandri's.
A pretty hefty 2v2 going down there. Both sides looking for a little bit of CC chaining. I will say, though, a little bit of a check-in on the Zed. I know it's glitz and glam. I know Sword has played it before. I'm struggling to see who besides Spawn he can really kill on this the other side of the map. And honestly, maybe it's enough. Maybe that's all
I
you
was
need.
gonna say, that's fine.
Denethor gonna go 1v2. He's going Godzilla mode. Is it gonna be enough though? Tenacity cutting down the size. He's gonna get the flash. Oh, he's running straight into Toasty. He's waiting for him on the other end. He's gonna heal a lot, but it's not gonna even matter as Tenacity gets the cleanup kill on the Denethor. We'll go 2-0 now on this Ambessa.
Yeah, and it's really hard to respond. Again, this top side really lacking in CC. You have the sleep from Lilia and, of course, the stun from the Renekton, but it doesn't really hit the same as the Arctic Assault from the Sejuani or even that Glacial Prison. So it's so much easier for Dark Zero to skirmish and team fight. So it does mean that Winthrop really have to be respectful of these timers where Dark Zero can make these plays and only take fights if they absolutely have to.
This is a prime position as we are looking at first items coming up for multiple members. Almost everybody on the side of Winthrop now with the double Eclipse popped in the solo lanes there as well. Gonna have the Yuntals for Spawn completed, the Heartsteel there for Kryra. So maybe a little bit more fighting strength going on either side of things here, but Dragon coming up in less than a minute as well. Could be a second Dragon for Winthrop or tying it up 1-1 for Dark Zero Dragonsteel.
It's pretty tough. Wilson is currently on the other side of the map. He has some time. You can see only 35 wants to get some presence, but without Wilson, this is so dangerous.
It is indeed.
Unless.
Glacial Prison going a little bit wide there. Taking notes. Thank you, only 35 for the call out.
Yeah.
It is the Nature's Grasp still in tow by Toasty. So really no way for you to walk into a lot of these fights. Toasty is going to get the reset. He does have the TP to come right back. Still engaged tool down for Cryo. Does make things a little bit more difficult to handle. As a nice play, try to get only 35, delivers it right back to Spawn. Here comes the TP in, though. Spawn has to Buster Shot out as only 35 will pull his Nature's Grasp as well. Toasty is here, waiting to see if he wants to utilize that now as Rift Herald spawned across the map. Both Tenacity and Denethor. Tenacity's TP coming up now, but will have TP if they want to take this fight.
Yeah, but Winthrop, their most important team fight ult's gone now. Only 35 forced to use the Nature's Grasp, while Toasty is still holding on to his. I can't imagine it's going to last much longer, but the threat of it is enough for Winthrop to take a delayed response to this Dragon. Delayed enough that they're actually just going to let it go.
Under turn Tenacity! He's about to get chopped down just like a bite-sized meal by Denethor, trying to chase him out. Public execution. Oh my God! Tenacity! Put some respect on his name. Tenacity is back in action in the NACL.
Oh, Denethor, he was tunneling too much on the E from the Renekton. It's gonna get solo killed as Tenacity. Yeah, they got him. Shield.
It should go pop, and there you go. Only 35 gets the kill in the end. Would have liked that on Sword, but cleaning up the kill in any way possible is going to be a good thing. Rift Herald is up on the other side. Can see if Dark Zero want to go ahead and go for that now, as Kryra is pathing that way.
Oh my God, Wilson getting to eat up this whole wave has just got to feel wonderful as a farming jungler. So that is a small win for him as well. Hey, it's like, what about me? He wasn't gonna get it, but you know.
He wasn't.
There's still that feeling like it should have been me, not him.
He will end up continuing clear. Finds a decent advantage over Kryra, just as we said earlier. The clear speed from Lilia gets ridiculous. And even if Sejuani does have the fast clear speed, not gonna match the deer prancing through the forest. Rift Herald can be the focus now as they did get pushed. Toasty started his back, but gonna reassemble over this Rift Herald pit. As it is spotted out. Winthrop can contest this one, but they were gonna have to bring Wilson around the corner. He's pretty far away for it, but maybe a flash play, maybe a fight. They do have all the tools available. They go for only 35, they lock him down, and now they won't have any contest over this, as the Rift Herald going the way of DZ.
That's tough. And the Maokai support is something we see a lot of, but the fact is, with support economy, with support experience, you're just not as tanky as you would be in the jungle. So only 35, not being careful enough with his life and respecting the fact that he is the most important team fighter on Winthrop University. That Nature's Grasp is so crucial to them being able to even engage in these objective fights. So with him getting picked off like this, a back-to-back, This is not great for Winthrop's chances.
See if they can steady the ship. It's still a dead even game, sort of, in the 1v1 against Toasty. The health bar difference is definitely coming back to bite Sword. But now, with these plays kind of developing, getting closer to second items as well, specifically for Spawn, really want to see them getting Spawn involved in these next fights. Still think that the statement rings true that he is going to be that major focus on this side of things for Dark Zero Dragonsteel.
Absolutely. Especially once Spawn picks up that second item, it's going to feel really good and just continue to feel really good as the Tristana, as it's really only up from here. And we're finally going to see that confrontation between Sword and Spawn, because that is really another crucial part of how Winthrop's comp is going to work. If the Zed can just bypass the front line, use that death mark to take Spawn out of the picture, and give Winthrop a fighting chance. I know.
As soon as you ult, you're immediately getting a target painted on your head. As he's going to dodge out of Toasty, that was really good from Sword. As the TP is going to actually come out and try to save that fight in the 2v2, trying to pick out Toasty, but now Tenacity might want to look for it, as well as Rift Herald being popped in the mid lane by Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Is the charge going to be enough? Not just enough. Trying to get Spawn in there to get the explosive charge on it. TP coming now from DZ. Toasty looking for it. The turret's not long for this world. It will end up going down, and that's first turret to Dark Zero Dragonsteel.
Yeah, some more gold into their pocket. They're going to get the second brick as well. Toasty really just TP'd for the pressure. Now he's going to collect that wave on the bottom side. So Winthrop really, they lose 2 turrets and they get nothing in trade, which is probably the worst feeling, because this map opens up that much more on their side while this dragon is coming up in a minute's time. So it's just going to make it harder for Winthrop to make good on that first dragon they were able to pick up, because I have a feeling it was their last.
And Tenacity is almost up like an entire item on Denethor. Obviously, Denethor still has to back, but he's got the Tunneler and second item as well, so that's a lot of gold that Tenacity has been able to accrue for himself. This Ambessa that had been locked away this entire series, unleashed in game number 3, and there was a reason why it had been locked behind bars.
Yeah, and it's tough too. Denethor really not in a strong position item-wise, as you point out. He doesn't have teleport. So it really just feels like Winthrop will not get this dragon, should not contest this dragon, and really just need to see if there's anything they can take in exchange.
Mobility. He's going to be fine. Still has the Feather Storm available to him. Actually putting some damage back into Crouchen. Wilson coming around the corner. Oh, Toasty's got a flank, though. They don't have a turret to go back to. He wants it. Glacial Prison just going to be wide, but the double combo pincer maneuver.
They got him.
Shut by Dark Zero. 4-man sleep. Is it enough? Sword is not going to be able to chunk through all these health bars, but maybe he can get Cryogen. He at least gets the one back. Now Denethor gets Buster shot out to get to safety from Dark Zero.
Still, it's the 1 for 2, and Wilson, the jungler, is the one who goes down for Winthrop. So Dark Zero, again, they come up in terms of kills and gold. They also have the smite available, whereas Winthrop, I mean, we're around, but there's really no angle to actually make this one work. Denethor, fortunately, not strong enough, even with the Dominus.
Take a look at how that fight kicked off here as well. Toasty was trying to come around the corner, and Tenacity and him connect at the exact perfect time.
Yeah, I think only 35 just waited too long to use that Nature's Grasp. Really needed to make space, especially when they were in this numbers disadvantage. And he ended up holding it until his death, never actually getting a chance to use it.
Look back into live, and that will be the dragon secured by Dark Zero. So they will go up 2-1 in dragon score in a Mountain Soul. So you're going to feel really good for either side, but especially that tankiness on the side of Dark Zero Dragonsteel now. Second item is that Navori Flicker Blade for Spawn, so we're going to have that extra cooldown reduction on the abilities, which is going to feel really good. And Dark Zero Dragonsteel are looking for a final outer turret in bot side, but they will be focused on now that Wilson is here. Tenacity expertly dashing out, using some of this healing, but it's not going to be nearly enough. And Denethor should be able to clean this one up. Public execution down. The shutdown actually goes to Wilson, so 730 gold goes his way. And that'll be a really good reprieve for the moment. But speaking of, that reprieve is only instant as the Atacon being taken on the other side.
And I don't know if there's going to be time for a response. Even if Denethor were to clear this wave back and get his teleport up, he doesn't have the dominance because it was used in that play. So I'm not confident in Winthrop's ability to actually win this fight. But they want to look for it anyway, Mazel. This one's dicey.
Spawn is just like not auto-attacking the Atacon. They just want to go for the fight now. Explosive charge is going to be through there as well. But now Sword looking for that backline. Sword needed one tool, one find, and is not going to get Spawn. Wilson going low now as well. Toasty goes on a rampage, but now he's in the thick of things. Goes with a double kill, but he will fall immediately. Spawn and Crouchin now looking for the follow-up, looking for the cleanup. Tenacity has TP'd. The Atacon not taken. Bloodbath aplenty, but it is 2 for 2.
Yeah, and they take advantage of the fact that Tenacity was not on the map, sitting on the gray screen to get a 2 for 2. It's pretty brutal because they were 5 versus 4, but given the game state, it's pretty good, all things considered. And I think we're starting to see examples of how Winthrop really needs to be playing these team fights. Because right now, I think we have a fight here. No, we don't. I was baited.
So they need to play these team fights? What were you saying?
That Winthrop, again, being able to pressure Spawn is so important. Sword didn't actually kill him, but he chunked him and he forced him away. So he didn't actually get very many auto attacks in that fight. So even that pressure alone is very valuable. The question is, can they actually do it again? Because Dark Zero, they're gone straight back to the Atacon. No teleports for Winthrop.
Spawn wasn't auto attacking. It took forever to take down. This time they are all inning it. It's already down in low half health. And try to take it down quickly, but Winthrop trying to scramble, trying to get an answer, trying to get a response. Wilson going to try to steal it, but it is going to be secured. Now they have that extra team fight potential, but big knockup coming in. Crouchin should make it out the Unbreakable will, and now they have to reset the fight. As Sword stuck on his lonesome. He's going to go and try to rejoin the rest of his team. Tenacity struggling to find an entrance, though. Toasty going to pop the Nature's Grasp onto 3 members now. Denethor trying to find Spawn. It's still the reset they're looking for. Tenacity comes in. Denethor is going to go low, and now Spawn has his sights set on the rest of Winthrop. He's waiting for his entrance now, though. Looking on to only 35. Winthrop are trying to fight this one out. Tenacity getting a little bit low. Lilting Lullaby is going to be there. Blade Caller through. And now the Tenacity's gone. The front line is not there. Spawn has not found his entrance. He's been waiting the entire time. He might be waiting until playoffs at this point. As he doesn't go through, Winthrop will take the fight.
And that's another fight. Again, we've been crediting Winthrop for understanding how their comp needs to be played out. And while this was a really shaky...
Oh, he gets the counterplay, the explosive charge plus the turret. Sword unable to execute on the Zed. They do get the turret, but Spawn will go on a killing spree.
I respect the vision from Sword. Unfortunately, it was super risky. You get Spawn's flash for it because there's no world where they get Baron. I guess it's okay. Or not as bad as it should be. I won't say it was okay. It's not as bad as it could be. But overall, not a bad fight from Winthrop University. This time it's Denethor who's taking that approach to keep Spawn out of these fights. Again, they just clearly understand Spawn is the problem, and if he can't auto-attack, they won't win.
That's been the case across the last couple fights as well. I will say, though, Tenacity now on 3 items. He is a big deal. And with a lot of squishiness of the side of Winthrop, if at one point they don't focus in and realize that he has such big entrances into the back line, he will absolutely make mincemeat out of them. We are on 2nd items there for everybody. Obviously, that Cattle is still sitting in the inventory of Toasty, something we've seen as of late. I know Cubby talked a lot about it, but still keeping those stats in tow while he goes for the next items in his build. We have 30 seconds until that next dragon spawns. Sole point for Dark Zero Dragonsteel, or an evening of the odds for Winthrop.
Yeah, and this isn't a Chemtech Soul, unfortunately, for Winthrop. It is a Mountain Soul, so every Mountain Dragon the Dark Zero pick up, it just increases the value. Oh, hold on.
He's in trouble. Only 35. Just takes the engage. Double explosive charge from the Navori. Flicker Blades is able to get that down. Spawn, really nice utilization there, and bringing Kryra into Bear too with the Glacial Prison. Now they might be able to force this Baron. Only 35 is that big setup tool for them. Really no other forms of engage, and they won't be able to do anything about it. Wilson just walking a little bit too far forward. He's just going to be cut down. He just can't do anything. He can't go golden. He's going to burn. He's still alive. He's barely kicking. And now Denethor goes on to Toasty. Toasty tries to go forward with the Blade Collar, but can't do it. Toasty's going low down. Mobility gets him down. Mobility will go down. But now Spawn trying to find his entrance yet again. Denethor is a scary croc, but Tenacity is here to back him down. Spawn waiting for his entrance here with the rocket jump. Can go through with the explosive charge. Denethor waiting for the slice and dice to kill Spawn. You know he has him in his sights. Dragon is still up and available. Tenacity is still big, strong, as Wilson's trying to heal up in the jungle before this fight.
Small bright side for Winthrop. Only 35 died with his ult, so now that he's showing up to this fight, there is a chance.
TP coming in. Denethor's full health. Denethor's got the flash as well. Only 35, giving his health bar here. Wilson trying to go for the 50-50. Is this going to be the time that they decide to make it break? And now the Dragon goes the way of Wilson. And Denethor cuts through everybody. Spawn doesn't have much mana. Wilson has to wait on the other side, and only 35 gets out with the blast cone.
That, I can't express how important this win was for Winthrop. Again, every Mountain Drake Dark Zero gets, it's so much harder for Winthrop to win. It adds value to every bit of health all their members get because of the increased resistances. But Winthrop, they recognize they have a moment. They win the 50-50. So not only do they deny those stacking resistances, they deny the soul point. They keep themselves in this.
Just thinking of this track record, man, like Winthrop, if they are able to take down near airport and Dark Zero Dragonsteel in the same week, absolutely insane, absolute cinema. As we take a look back to this one, and Wilson keeping these Dragon hopes alive for Winthrop.
Yeah, and I gotta say, only 35 has died with his ult up a lot this game, and I really don't like it. But this time specifically, it ends up working out for them because it allowed them the space to walk into this Dragon. And again, a lot of AoE coming through between the Lilia, between the Renekton, just being able to get a lot of AoE damage off to force Dark Zero out of the picture and secure that one kill.
And I know I talked about Winthrop's story of things, but Dark Zero Dragons, so they want this win. This is the last series of the split. They want first and second. Niles is expecting it of this team to get that bye, to have that time to prep and get into locked action for the playoffs. And to fall to Winthrop, to have these fluctuations, not going to be a happy coach there for sure, but they still have a big fighting chance. They still are in a big, strong position with Kryra's advances, with his engages, and Spawn now having hit third item with that IE. He is monstrous.
That's right. Mobility on the other side has hit that third item. Wilson going for the, I think it's called Bloodletter's Curse.
Yep.
Bloodletter something, yeah. So that MR reduction, I think, going to be really valuable for Wilson and his damage this game. And to your point, too, Dark Zero, not only does Niles expect it of them, you got to imagine these players, they expect it from themselves, especially with the record they walked into when they got subbed in for the original Dark Zero Dragonsteel squad. These players, of course, very skilled, experienced, talented in their own right. Only need to win this one series to give themselves that remaining hope for top two. They have a lot of expectations on their shoulders from those around them and, of course, themselves. So Winthrop, they're looking to disrupt them with this potential to win the game.
See now, a couple backs going to be stopped. He makes it.
Wow.
Nice little shield. Going to get him out of there. But right now, we're just waiting. We have about 2 minutes till that Dragon spawns, and that's not even the end-all, be-all here, as it would just be third Dragon for either side. And we've had a very contested series so far. We finally reached that 1 kill a minute mark yet again.
Yes.
And it's not a slow burn like that game number 2. Both teams putting everything on the line with their final series in the regular season.
Yeah, and this is it. This is the time to put all the cards on the table. And again, you got to give credit to Winthrop. Their comp definitely harder to execute, especially as this game goes on, with how difficult it is to play assassins like Zed and how hard their job is to put pressure on Spawn. But they are making it happen. They are making these fights close. And Dark Zero, even with that pressure on them, they do have a pretty easy to execute composition. So as long as they're able to protect Spawn and keep that focus on their marksman, they should win.
Into a very tense state of the game, but I will say Wilson's been farming up a storm.
Yeah.
There's almost a full item over Kryra as well, and the Lilia ain't no slouch in the later parts of the game. Still waiting for that big entrance from Sword. I think he's had some serviceable moments as well, but really looking for why this Zed pick came in 5th. Why Sword feels so confident on it in his second competitive playthrough of this champion. He's already played it once this season as well. We'll see now if it does end up paying off against Spawn.
And I like what we're seeing here from Winthrop. not pushing too far, but doing their best to maintain some kind of vision presence so it won't be as hard for them to actually walk into that river. With Dragon coming up soon, Dark Zero not as dependent on this soul, and with Spawn being where he is in terms of items, they're going to rip through this Baron very, very quickly. So with that in mind, at Winthrop, they got to do their best to make sure this Baron can't get stolen away from them when they're not looking, but they also really want this Dragon. That's why you're seeing Mobility and Denethor move that to that area.
They burn it down so fast,
yeah,
so they're two-manning the Baron already. Giving that over might just be a benefit of the doubt here given to Winthrop.
Oh, they know.
That one over, so it's going to be massive as Nature's Grass going across behind it. Eventually take down Kryra, but Nature's Grass used a trade of the Dragon for the Baron. And now it's all about what Dark Zero Dragonsteel can do with this Baron for the next 3 minutes when the next Dragon is still 5 minutes out.
Yeah, that's right. It is an unfortunate trade for Winthrop because that Baron is so potent, so powerful, but how unfortunate is going to depend on them and how well they receive this Baron push. That's going to be coming through in these next couple of minutes. Already the resets are coming through. Spawn has finished that 4th item. He's also at level 17, so the Tristana passive with the increased range is almost maxed out. And it does make it easier for Spawn to interact with Winthrop's composition because of it. So, and Dark Zero, they're about as online as they're going to be, Lennon.
See if they can use this buff to get this lead out in front of Winthrop. It's been heavily contested. We're almost 35 minutes in. If that doesn't speak to the stress of this final series for both teams, then I don't know what does at this point. The tier 2 turret under threat and topside by Dark Zero with this Baron buff. They still have the cannon minion up. Not as much range on the side of Winthrop, so these sieges are going to be very, very hard to handle. As TP coming in way behind over here. Look how much damage Spawn is doing to Sword.
They
Sword
got him.
Caught out. Sword unexpecting. And now the rest of both of Winthrop are going down one by one. We'll get that Blade Caller out to save off Mobility. But Toasty having the Nature's Grass now, they can look for this siege. And they're going to look for the turrets here as well. Maybe they just crash this Baron buff into a win. There's no way. Only 35 is caught. They just dominoed Winthrop. All those games, all that stress, that close moment. And now it seems like it's running out of reach. 3,000 gold up into the siege here with the TP from Tenacity available. They have the resets from Spawn. They could look to finish this one off. What once was a soaring eagle has been clipped, and now Dark Zero Dragonsteel. They want that first, second seed. They want that win. Niall gonna be very happy as the coach of this squad to come in and finish the job that the premier squad started, and they'll find that first or second seed in the buy-in playoffs.
And a really nice catch out there from Dark Zero to close it out. Winthrop, unfortunately, crashed down to earth with this loss at the end there, and it's one that they are not going to be happy about looking back at that final fight. But yeah, Dark Zero Dragonsteel, they make it happen. This is the risk of playing champions like Zed in this current meta, and unfortunately, while there were good moments, Winthrop couldn't pull it over the finish line.
The tempo play actually was very impressive right there. Just to see how quickly they pounced after the turret falls. You have to respect a lot of the length of engage that this team brings to the table.
Yeah, and again, really just good snap engage, and of course a little bit of unfortunate play there from Sword. Dying with Deathmark, dying with Flash. In those final moments, I think no one's going to feel that loss more than him.
For sure, but it's still something to be proud of, bringing Dark Zero Dragonsteel the distance, having that very tightly contested game number 3, but also that roundabout victory in game number 2. We're going to step away for a little break. On the other side of things, we'll have an interview with one of the members of Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Don't miss it. Welcome back, everyone, to NACL. On our final day of the regular season, Dark Zero Dragonsteel, they handle the business set out before them, and they will end up getting that first or second seed in the playoffs here with a 2-1 victory over Winthrop University.
Yeah, as for that final bit of seeding, we're going to have to see where our Super Day and our Super Week plays out towards the end of it. But you got to give props to Dark Zero Dragonsteel. Even though it was pretty contentious at one point, they managed to get that win out in the end, especially in this game 3. I think Winthrop made it really difficult for them, but it's just good recognition and positioning there, particularly for Cryogen, who I want to credit that secured them the win, and especially that fight that won them the game.
We take a look back to the auto that never was for Spawn. But
yeah, that was funny.
Still coming out with a victory makes all this go away for sure. It's a really good positioning in the latter part. I think he played really reserved in this one, even when maybe it looked like he could go forward. He's still knowing and respecting Denethor's strength in a lot of these situations, respecting the kind of up close and personal fighting strength that Winthrop had. And I will say that it was a holistic effort from Dark Zero Dragonsteel. I think obviously Tenacity had a big say on the Ambessa being able to close in a lot of these pincers for them, but overall it was a team effort. Yeah,
and this comp was just easier to execute. At the end of the day, Zed, there's a reason we don't see Assassins come through a lot. Again, Winthrop,
I appreciate it.
I like the look. I saw the vision, and they played a lot of these fights pretty well. There were just moments like this one at the very end that were just misplayed, because those are moments where you can't get caught, especially with how strong Dark Zero are at this stage of the game. But again, credit to Cryogen and Kryra. I think they played their role really nicely this game, and were big reasons why, despite Winthrop's efforts, it was really hard for them to team fight.
It was indeed, and you could see some of that here in the later part. Honestly, really good props to Dark Zero Dragonsteel, just realizing that they could take that one Baron. They had like a minute and a half left on it. They took that in him. They were like, no, we can end the game here. And being able to do so, I think, takes a lot of guts, but also just a lot of know-how on how to win with your composition. And those kind of decisions, even though maybe it looks like bare bones, something that should be easy in Tier 2, I find that it's really nice to see teams pull that kind of stuff off, because it just shows decisiveness that sometimes is a little bit lacking, but you expect from one of our top tier teams, even if it is a sub squad of them. And really, really good stuff for them to handle. We'll be able to talk to somebody from Dark Zero Dragonsteel here pretty soon and maybe get their looks on what's looking forward, what the playoffs could potentially look like, but what this means for them to be able to live up to the expectations of securing that first or second seed. But as we get into that, make sure you go check out all the socials from this last game. It was a 3-game banger. Winthrop, they were so close. Unable to take the victory in the end and fall to Dark Zero Dragonsteel 2-1. Our socials are in the top left of your screen. Make sure you go check all those out. You'll be able to catch all the clips. But refocusing onto this, I still think that It wasn't as one-sided of a series as maybe when you came into this one you would have expected if you didn't know what had happened earlier this week for Winthrop. But I got to give a shout out to both teams, laid it all in the line. The 2 games with like a kill a minute in the final series for both teams feels real good.
It does, and I think there's still a lot to be excited about Winthrop University, even though they end up losing this series, where I think we're still seeing that rise that led to their defeating of Near Airport earlier on this week. Just kind of continuing to show us bits of that brightness here today means that, you know, playoffs, they might still be able to do some damage. Yeah, so they'll be exciting to watch. Yeah, and of course, Dark Zero Dragonsteel, another team we're going to be really excited to watch, as well as the other teams in our 3-headed Hydra.
I will say, if Luminosity end up winning their series, it does mean that Near Airport will be in 3rd, and that means that one of the first matches we'll get will be the Winthrop Near Airport rematch of a